It feels like a hurricane. A beautiful, intoxicating Category 5 hurricane of attention and affection that sweeps you off your feet and rearranges your entire world. Constant messages, from the moment your eyes open to a "Good morning, my universe" text, until the second you fall asleep to a "Dream of us" voice note. Gifts that leave you breathless, not just for their monetary value, but for their perceived, almost psychic, thoughtfulness. Declarations that they've never felt anything like this before, that you are different, that you are special, that meeting you was destiny. You don't just feel loved, you feel chosen. You feel seen, truly, fundamentally seen for the first time in your life, as if a divine spotlight has finally found you after a lifetime of standing in the shadows. It is the beginning of a fairy tale. It is every song, every poem, every movie you have ever consumed about love, come to life. It is perfect, impossibly, dangerously perfect. But every seasoned detective, every investigator of psychological crime scenes, knows that the most dangerous cases, the ones that end in the most profound devastation, are the ones that begin too perfectly. They know that a flawless, shimmering surface often conceals a rotten, hollow core. What you are experiencing may not be the beginning of a great love story. It may be the beginning of a meticulously planned psychological siege. You may be the target of love bombing. Love bombing is the narcissist's most powerful opening move. It is a calculated, predatory manipulation tactic, a flood of excessive affection, attention, and future promises, all designed to overwhelm your natural defenses, bypass your rational mind, and secure your dependency with shocking, brutal speed. It is not love. It is an acquisition strategy. It is the idealization phase of a terrifying cycle. And today, we are turning on the floodlights. We are going to dissect the anatomy of this dangerous red flag piece by piece, like evidence from a crime scene. We will expose the critical differences between genuine, healthy affection and a predatory trap, so you can see the wires before you step into it. If you've ever felt that a relationship was too good to be true, this investigation is for you. Subscribe, and let's begin to unravel the evidence. The first piece of evidence we must examine is the most obvious, yet the most easily dismissed under the guise of passion: inhuman speed. In a healthy, stable relationship, intimacy, trust, and love are like a garden. They need time, care, sunlight, and patience to grow strong, deep roots. It is a slow, organic process of mutual discovery. Love bombing is a chemical fertilizer, a cocktail of steroids and artificial light, forcing a spectacular but ultimately fake bloom that has no foundation and is destined to wither. It is a relationship on hyperspeed, breaking all the natural laws of human connection. This manifests as "I love yous" within weeks, sometimes even days of meeting. It's not just the words, but the intensity behind them, as if they are confessing a truth they can no longer contain. It's conversations about moving in together, marriage, or having children within the first month, presented not as a distant dream, but as an urgent, immediate plan. It's planning international vacations for a year from now, when you've only known each other for a few weekends. To the target, caught in the whirlwind, this feels like destiny, like a soulmate connection so powerful it doesn't need to obey the normal, plodding rules of time. But you must understand the cold, calculated tactic behind this acceleration. The goal is not to express love. It is to create a powerful bond of dependency and obligation as quickly as possible, before your logic, your intuition, and your support system have a chance to intervene and sound the alarm. The manipulator knows that if they move slowly, you will have time to see the cracks in their mask. You'll have time to consult your friends, to reflect on their behavior, to notice the inconsistencies between their words and their actions. Speed is their greatest ally because it creates a state of emotional overwhelm, a kind of euphoric hypnosis. It's a psychological shock and awe campaign. They are trying to get you so high on the fantasy, so invested in the perfect future they are selling, that you will willingly ignore the red flags that inevitably start to appear. The speed is not passion. It is a strategy. It is the first step in building a cage around you, and they need to build it fast, before you realize you're being imprisoned. The second piece of evidence is the excessive, suffocating attention, which is masterfully disguised as boundless affection. When you first experience it, it feels incredible, like basking in the warmth of a sun that shines only for you. A good morning, beautiful text waiting for you when you wake up. A good night, my love text is the very last thing you see. And dozens, sometimes hundreds of messages in between. What are you doing now? Thinking of you. Just heard a song that reminded me of you. They call you on your lunch break. They want to know every detail of your day, from the boring meeting you had to the sandwich you ate for lunch. It feels like you are the absolute, undisputed center of their universe. But we must investigate the true motive behind this constant contact. This is not just thinking of you. This is surveillance. It is a way to monitor your time, your activities, and your emotional state. It is a strategy to occupy every spare moment of your mental and emotional real estate, ensuring that there is no space left for anyone or anything else. Not your friends, not your family, not your hobbies, and most importantly, not your own quiet, reflective thoughts. This constant contact creates a powerful, addictive dependency. You get used to the dopamine hit of your phone buzzing with their name. On the rare occasion they go quiet for a few hours, a tactic in itself called intermittent reinforcement. You feel a pang of intense anxiety, of withdrawal. You check your phone obsessively. You wonder what you did wrong. They have conditioned you to need their constant presence for your own emotional stability. Furthermore, this serves to isolate you with terrifying efficiency. If you are spending every free moment texting or talking to them, you are inherently spending less time with your support system. Your weekly call with your best friend gets shorter because you have another call coming in. Your family dinners become distracted as you sneak glances at your phone under the table. The manipulator is not just inserting themselves into your life. They are systematically pushing everyone else out, not with force, but with a flood of attention that leaves no room for others. He isn't just becoming a part of your world. He is attempting to become your entire world, your sole source of validation, comfort, and connection. This leads us to the third exhibit, the use of extravagant gifts and grand gestures as a tool for creating profound emotional debt. This goes beyond buying you flowers on a Tuesday. This is a level of generosity that feels disproportionate, almost uncomfortably so, for the length and stage of the relationship. It's the surprise weekend trip to a 5-star resort on the third date. It's the expensive designer handbag you casually admired in a store window, appearing on your doorstep the next day. It might even be offering to pay your rent, your car payment, or a large bill, presenting it as a grand romantic gesture of care and protection. To the target, this feels like being swept off your feet. It feels like you've finally found someone generous and successful, who wants to spoil you, who sees your worth. But these are not gifts, they are investments. They are down payments on your future compliance and silence. Every extravagant gesture creates a powerful, unspoken emotional debt. It makes it significantly harder for you to question their behavior, to set boundaries, or to eventually leave. How can you complain about his controlling behavior when he just bought you a ticket to Paris? How can you bring up something that made you uncomfortable when he just paid off your credit card bill? You can't. Or rather, you feel like you can't. You feel indebted, obligated, and deeply ungrateful for even thinking a negative thought. And this is precisely the goal. The manipulator will use this debt against you later as a weapon. In a future argument, when you try to hold them accountable for their cruelty or neglect, they will inevitably say the classic line, "After everything I've done for you, after all the places I've taken you, this is how you repay me?" The gifts were never about your happiness. They were about their control. They were tools to buy your silence and your compliance. True generosity is given freely, with no expectation of return. Love-bombing generosity is a carefully calculated loan, and the interest rate is your soul. The fourth piece of evidence is the subtle, yet systematic isolation from your support system. A predator is most effective when its prey is separated from the herd. The love bomber understands this instinctively. They know that your friends and family, The people who have known you for years and have your best interests at heart are the biggest threat to their manipulation. They are the ones who are most likely to say, "This seems too fast," or "There's something about him I don't trust." So the manipulator must neutralize this threat with strategic precision. They rarely do this with overt commands like, "I forbid you from seeing your friends." That would be too obvious a red flag for most people. Instead, the isolation is a masterclass in subtle manipulation and psychological warfare. They will say things like, "Your friends are fun, but they don't really understand the depth of the connection we have. They seem a bit shallow." This plants a seed of doubt, making you feel that your friends are somehow inferior or incapable of understanding your special relationship. Or they will be subtly critical after you spend time with your family. "Your mother seems so critical of you. It makes me sad to see how she treats you. I would never treat you that way." They position themselves as your sole protector, the only one who truly understands and appreciates you, while framing the people who love you as flawed, harmful, or jealous. Another common tactic is to create drama or a mini-crisis every time you have plans with someone else. You're about to go out for a girls' night, and suddenly he feels sick or depressed and needs you to stay home and take care of him. He might even start a fight over something trivial right before you leave, ensuring you're too upset to go. Over time, you learn that it's just easier to cancel your plans than to deal with the subsequent sulking, guilt-tripping, or cold shoulder. He makes the time spent with him so intense, so all-consuming, and so perfect that your normal, healthy relationships with others start to seem boring or stressful by comparison. It becomes a form of self-isolation, but it is one that has been expertly orchestrated by him, every step of the way. He is cutting the safety wires one by one, until he is the only one left to catch you when you fall. Finally, we examine the fifth and most deceptive piece of evidence: the chameleon effect, a powerful combination of intense mirroring and future faking. When you first meet a love bomber, the feeling of compatibility is staggering, almost supernatural. It feels like you've found your other half, your long-lost twin, the person who finishes your sentences and understands your soul. This is because they are not being themselves, they are being you. This is a tactic called mirroring. They study you like a subject in a lab. They listen with rapt attention to your hopes, your dreams, your fears, your past traumas. Then, they reflect that information back to you as their own personality. You love hiking in the mountains? Suddenly, they are a passionate mountaineer who has always felt most at home in nature. You dream of opening a small bookstore one day? They confess they've always wanted a quiet life surrounded by books, away from the chaos of the world. They mirror your speech patterns, your values, your sense of humor, your very soul, creating an irresistible and utterly false illusion of a perfect match. This mirroring is then combined with the deeply cynical tactic of future faking. They will paint a vivid, detailed picture of a future together that is a carbon copy of the deepest desires you just shared with them. "I can just picture it," they'll say, their eyes gazing into the distance with a look of profound sincerity. "Us in that little house in Italy you talked about, with a vineyard, writing our novels. It's what I've wanted my whole life. I just didn't know it until I met you." They are selling you your own dream back to you, gift-wrapped with their face on it. This is incredibly powerful because it locks you into the fantasy. You become so invested in this beautiful, promised future that you are willing to overlook the mounting red flags in the present. You endure the controlling behavior, the subtle put-downs, the isolation, because you are clinging to the promise of that perfect future. But the future is a lie. It is a mirage designed to keep you hooked while they drain you of your resources. You haven't found your soulmate. You have found a talented actor who has stolen the script of your soul and is playing the leading role with breathtaking predatory skill. So now we must ask the final, critical question: why? Why go to all this trouble? The answer is the most important part of this investigation, the key that unlocks the entire crime. Love bombing is never the final act. It is the first. It is the necessary, intoxicating prelude to the devaluation and discard phases of the narcissistic abuse cycle. It is the phase that gets you addicted, that creates the powerful trauma bond, that makes you tolerate the hell that comes next. No one would willingly stay with a partner who constantly criticizes, belittles, and ignores them if that's how the relationship started. The love bomber knows this. So they create a golden period of manufactured perfection. They put you on a pedestal so high that the eventual fall is shattering. They create this intense, addictive high so that when they inevitably begin to devalue you, when the constant texts stop, when the compliments turn to criticism, when the perfect partner is replaced by a cold, cruel stranger, you will do anything to get that high back. You will blame yourself. You will think, what did I do wrong? How can I get back to the way things were? You will spend months or years chasing that initial ghost, that perfect illusion they created just for you. That is the trap. The love bombing isn't the relationship. It is the bait. It is the anesthesia administered before the painful, soul-destroying surgery of devaluation begins. True, genuine love does not feel like a frantic, desperate race. It does not demand your constant attention. It does not create debt. It does not isolate you. Real love gives you freedom. It gives you peace. Love bombing demands your complete and total surrender. If this investigation has felt uncomfortably familiar, if it has put a name to the confusion and pain you have been feeling, then you have taken the most important step. You have turned on the light. You have seen the wires. Recognizing the trap is the only way to disarm it.